So, you two?
I read the minutes before, I didn't have anything with it.
Yep, I read it before too.
No issues? Okay, you have a motion to accept
I'll
them?
move to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We got to sign the abatements, warrants. I already signed them, read them and signed them.
To the login account. You have to sign, there's two of these, right? They're different totals.
They're different totals, yes.
They're different.
Well, the bottom, what I did with the water, the total.
Look at the water totals.
46, 250, yeah, they're different.
Yeah, I think he's separating out the gas.
Gas and,
Yeah.
yeah, this is for diesel. That one's for gas.
Oh, so it's just about the same number. Bunch of little bills this month.
Problems without alarms?
Not that I know of, but we pay a monthly fee, I think.
No, it's $1,000, $972.
Is it from SAT?
Yes.
Probably a quarter.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
they,
for all the buildings and stations.
which is a lot cheaper than when we were using, was it ADT or
Yeah.
whatever it was?
Oh, ADTs.
Yeah, they were like.
And those guys are all,
And then you come out just to replace a $5 pot, it would cost you $500.
okay, so it's actually two different bills.
First thing, I want to apologize for not showing up at town meeting. I thought it was in April. I got back from vacation, my wife says, there's a town meeting. I said, yeah, it's in April. And then Tony Adair called me and said, well, we're not on a town meeting. I says, we're not on a town meeting, it's not till April.
No, elections in April.
So I was available and sitting at home.
Oh, I thought you were still away.
No, I had just got home, 3 or 4 days before, but I was just thinking it was April.
It was just Jack Hughes and that was it.
Yep.
Heard you guys did all right. Everything went through.
Yeah.
Budget went through, you're all set.
So I think we should discuss the next thing on the agenda, the sprinkler system, piping specification, rules and regulations.
So,
Because all the engineers here, in case we have some questions for him.
So, our rules and regulations say private fire protection lines shall be constructed in accordance with the water department specifications and the latest versions of the Massachusetts Plumbing Code, Town Fire Prevention Code, and National Fire Code. What they're supposed to use. What I don't want is any more plastic pipe used.
Well, we have standards for our own as far as what they have to put in for.
No, it's referring to something that we don't really, we allow plastic in the development, so.
First of all, are we talking about residential or?
No, commercial.
Oh, commercial industrial, okay. So, well, you gotta have steel going into the building for a sprinkler line. I never seen plastic brought in for a sprinkler line.
Well, I did when we fixed that leak.
Leak where?
That was the big leak. That was a plastic line. You can see it right there on the gate.
That was scheduled 40 PVC, right?
Yeah, that wasn't even, was that even really not
It's
even
not even
water?
water.
Well, it is, back in the day, they used that, it was
What
water.
day? In the 80s?
I know that the guys at Holdley, they knew the minute they, because I sent them pictures, because I wanted to get the parts for the tappan sleeve. They knew immediately what it was and told me the parts, the extra parts I'd need to get around it. Because I had to adapt to it,
What building did that go into?
ABF.
But that's the underground pipe.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. So you're talking about, so when we have pipes under the road,
Right.
going from our line to the building, that private line's built in it as if it were a water main.
right. I mean, if
Right.
you guys are happy that they're gonna put in plastic, that's fine, but,
Well, if it was plastic water main
It has
pipe,
to be changed.
I wouldn't have
It
it.
has to make the transition before it goes in through the foundation and up through. That has to be all ductile iron steel.
Right.
Because there's nothing that's gonna hold it together on the other end, because
yeah, just.
everything has to be anchored and everything. So, you know, we always did along, take plastic, and usually about 20 feet from the building, they'll use a clamp, and then they'll change over to ductile iron steel if that's what they're gonna do. And on either side of the foundation,
Yeah,
there'll be a clamp that'll keep that pipe from moving on that foundation. Then it goes in, makes a, they'll
you
use,
usually pour it in concrete and go up through.
right, but they'll use an elbow that anchors right to the pipe, you know, and then usually they'll rod it too, they'll do both. They don't just rely on one thing, because there's gonna be so much pressure, that thing will blow right off.
Yeah,
A lot of times is, they don't go to the ceiling and they're just kind of dangling. They're like little hangers and stuff, that thing will take off like a rocket. So, you know, we've always just made them do ductile iron steel. I know that there was a lot of discussion on residential because the state was gonna allow everybody to use plastic,
yeah,
and you didn't have to do it same as commercial. They were gonna do it in the doorways because it was gonna be put into residential so that people could escape without getting burnt up. It was just to get people out. It wasn't to put the house out. It wasn't like a commercial setup.
right.
So, but I don't know if that's what you're
No, I
referring
was wondering
to.
the pipe running in, I mean, we ran into that white plastic and,
Well, do we have something in writing for when a developer comes in, what pipes they can use under the street?
well, it's stay with the AWWA standards, but they are allowed to use the C900 or,
Yeah. Would you have a problem with C900 for this? I mean, I don't see why you'd have a problem with C900 for a sprinkler feed line under the road.
I
That's
don't
a
really have a
6
problem,
watt
I
pipe.
just, some towns require all ductile, and every town's different. I think this is for really nothing.
Personally, I haven't had a problem with them using the plastic. I haven't run into where something
Usually
failed.
Pulse, once they go off, and then that's it.
Right.
No, but we should make sure that it says not to use non-water main rated
Right.
pipe, which is
Oh, then-
what they
What's that,
had on
Schedule
Main Street.
I think it is.
Looks
or
like Schedule
five,
4.
Yeah,
That's not C900,
No.
no, but it's probably, it's back in the day.
that's Schedule
It
4.
was old enough they knew what it was, they
How
had seen
how
it.
old was that building?
Is that, it's not
that
the
I
same
don't know.
outside diameter though. Schedule 40 would be a different outside diameter. I don't know how they get it in there, would it?
They did, we had to transition.
But it fit that gate.
I know, I don't know, well, because that's
There's
an
so much of
old,
those
that's an
ones,
old
they'll probably
one.
compress in enough.
The new one wouldn't fit it. I had to adapt. But I had to adapt anyways because I had to cut it out.
See why they would have used that? See, that Schedule 42 looks just like the C900, 6 or 8 inch, you
Yeah.
know, it comes in white. Somebody looking at it, if they didn't read the label,
Right.
would just assume that that was a C900, I would think.
I mean, that was standard back in the day, whenever that went in. I can't tell you what the day was, but
That was never really standard, it's Schedule 40 for water pipe, was it?
No, it had to be C900.
That was, I mean, that building was built in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, that wasn't standard then.
yeah, I don't know, I wasn't.
That's
doing
why
it.
any of these mains going in,
For
you
whatever.
have somebody inspecting them every day before they
Yeah.
backfill.
Yeah, We only have one right now that's up off of Brooks Place, and he hasn't got going yet.
But you're gonna try to inspect every day.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them, keep it open until you back, somebody goes up to
Yeah,
witness.
make sure they put, if it's gonna be plastic pipe,
He ran ductile.
oh, you ran that down,
Yeah.
good. Alright.
Even still inspect, just make sure.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
nothing funky going on.
I gotta inspect
We'll
it,
dig
so we
it
can
up.
get it on our GIS at some point.
Yep. Well, at least you can locate it. Usually you guys would wanna use the C900 just for cost.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was amazed that he did ductile, spec ductile. He said that's what he was gonna use, and he is using it.
Is he maintaining ownership afterwards? He might figure it's worth spending the money now.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a subdivision, they're gonna sell all the lots, he won't own it.
For 1 year, he owns it for 1 year, that's it.
But after
After that, it's ours. That's the other thing, when the plastic pipe, what they were running into, instead of using the fittings to go around the bends, the guys were
Yeah, the bend.
backfilling the part of the pipe, then bending it. And then, it wasn't a problem, it was okay. But then when the guys would show up and they'd have to make another tap, that's when those pipes blew up. Because they were under stress like that. And as soon as they tap them under pressure, the whole pipe would explode. Some guys got killed doing it. So, that's one thing you gotta watch, those guys aren't
Yeah.
taking the machine and torquing it over, putting sand behind it, and then continuing on.
Yeah.
You know, this, and all they're saving is $300 on a fitting or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you're risking the life of somebody that comes along 10 years later. So, you gotta keep an eye on that when you're inspecting.
Alright.
Anything else? So should we be rewriting something here for
Well,
fire?
it just basically ends at that. It says to use us, I gotta get back to it, with the water department specifications, but it doesn't say where to look.
We should have something in writing.
Right.
Yeah, should be in our rules and regulations, I guess. But you should look into, while we're gonna do it for commercial, I think you ought to look into what has the state and the fire marshal actually come up with for residential. Because for
We shouldn't care.
10 years they were,
But it doesn't, we don't care about from this, what's in the building. This is just what's connected to our pipe going under the road.
right, okay.
We're not
Right.
talking about this building
No,
sprinkler
yeah.
system pipes. That's up to the plumbing code anyway, not us.
Right,
Right.
well, there was always discussion whether it should go through the meter or be separate. You know what I mean? Should the water be the same water as the domestic water, or should it be on a separate line because the meter may slow down the fire flow? But everybody was, you know, they were debating that, and the water departments never knew where the state and the fire marshal and everybody else ended up. We were just sitting back waiting, so it's been years and years. Maybe you just ought to look in and see what else is happening. I haven't heard anything.
I don't know if they,
Yep,
I
go
don't know
ahead.
if they resolved that
What's that?
or not. I don't know if they resolved that or not as a
Residential.
separate service, or the problem presents to you is if you need to do a shut off, just like with a commercial building, you don't want to shut off a sprinkler.
Right.
You just want to shut off the domestic, so tie together through one curb stop. Then you're in a dilemma, you can't do a shut off for not paying it or something. I don't know that anyone I deal with has addressed that in rules and regs yet, but I'm not sure the code stands right now.
What do we have right now? Did they do sprinklers up off of Walnut Street?
On the houses, yeah, that's,
So how is it?
they're tapping off, they're tied into the water service.
Just a 1-inch service
Yeah.
going in?
So some of them are shutting it off inside the house because they don't want their kids tripping them.
So is it, so it's 1 inch, but then is it going through the meter?
Yeah,
So the sprinkler, so it's going through the meter, they're not doing
I
that?
believe it's going to, I haven't actually seen one, but I could probably get up there and look.
See, the water departments didn't want them not going through the meter because then people would be tapping
Then they got a separate line.
kitchens and stuff, yeah, they'd have a separate line. So their argument was that anything going into the house from our system, we want metered.
Well, if they got a 1 inch meter, it's not gonna slow it down.
Right, they're all on up there in the farms and Pearl Road.
Right. But that was all part of the argument, you know, with fire marshals and everybody. But it went on for years. So you're kind of telling us that it's still going on?
I haven't really checked on it, it hasn't come up in years, and I knew almost no projects that have included it. You said you had one now, but
Now, are they just in the doorways like they're
I
talking?
haven't been in the houses, but no, I don't, I think they're throughout the house, they're not just in the doorways.
In the ceilings?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. All right, well, okay.
So how
Capital,
do we resolve that? We're gonna write something back?
he's gonna just get more information,
Okay.
look into it from a state point of view, and
So the capital projects thing, you should probably put till after, because the articles have to be in by the 19th, so you're only gonna meet one more time before,
so, do you wanna put that after?
yes. That
Okay,
way you'll know where you're gonna put your money at.
okay,
Me?
so you're up.
It's over there or something?
Oh, we could, yeah.
Yeah, put it right in front of the camera.
What? Why don't you put it, you can look turn around and look over here. Oh, can you see it there with the camera? Come on,
Hey, what are you squawking about getting on one? I'm on that stupid YouTube video, I'm like the first thing that comes up. Wasn't stupid.
Yeah.
You might be out of it there.
I switched places, Eric?
Yeah, she's not.
Kevin's switching very hard places.
So, the last meeting, through this in general, I don't know if you got to look at it anymore. Just to update Rick on a couple of items that came up. One of which was the mapping itself. And let me bring the old one in, I can show you one. Just graphically, we had maps with this crosshatch.
Yep.
So here, we found with solid colors, which
Makes it
makes it
easy.
really
easier to tell.
distinguished, and we did that for, sorry about this. I got away from me in a park. So, we did, done that for most of them. I think it's
Makes it easier.
visually easier to pick up the areas you're looking at. The other thing we discussed was 2020 release sites, as far as getting that on a map and where those may be proximate to wherever you may go in the future. You want to know that in advance, so we'll put those on the next final revision for the map. In particular, there was a salvage yard on North Main or something, or a garage that was suspect, somebody mentioned. But
On West Street?
North Main? It's up
Just
there.
an auto repair shop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they had a right across from, what's his name? The soap fence.
Oh, Ramco.
That was a machine shop, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all recent, that's not.
No, but there was a gas spill there years ago.
The oil,
Yeah.
That might be in the old
Oil
records.
spill, that house next door. there.
Exactly.
But I think Travelers may have had cleanup done at one time.
Yes, they did, they did.
So that's another site. But if they file paperwork with DEP for,
But those would be old sites cleaned up.
but they're never all 100%.
I think they'll still pop up with their release tracking number. It might be closed,
Right.
but it should still show.
It may be remediated, but it was still
Right, a release.
The oil that they figured if it went across to us, would actually go down to the Matfield River and go downstream. It would never go toward our aquifer. It would.
But the travelers would have been gas.
Right, but there's, the water flow.
Gasoline.
The water flow was, underground was going to the Matfield River. It wasn't affected by us drawing the water table down. We didn't have any effect of the direction of the flow. That's what we were concerned with when Travelers had the oil spill, and the other guy, a few houses down, he had an oil, I think it was house burn on oil. He had a lot of oil in the ground, but they found that that wasn't coming toward us either. That was going toward the Matfield River. So we never really saw any effects from any of it, and they did a cleanup. So, and, you know,
Sounds good.
we've never seen anything. Yeah, it's been years.
So I don't know if you want me to run through what we went through again, quickly, or,
Or maybe the highlights where Rick wasn't here.
real quickly. So we looked at the previous exploration, which we got from the Dufresne Henry report. So we mapped all them by the year, and who did them,
Yep.
based on that report. And you can see there's a lot, basically on the western side of town. The most promising was the,
Rotary Farm.
yeah, if you look at the soils, and the logs for a lot of these were shallow refusal. Some of them they didn't pump at all because they were shallow. They hit clay until these soils.
A lot of those gravel deposits on like 24 now been built on.
Pardon me?
A lot of the gravel deposits that we were drilling out there, like where Lowe's and stuff is, all that's been developed, so there's no chance for that to be used anyways.
Yeah, the sand and gravel is in tan, so you can see
Right.
up in the Sear Street area is a wide expanse of sand and gravel.
We had done a lot of drilling out and through here, this whole area. This used to be the Estabrooks Farm, and there was a lot of gravel in there, but now that's all Lowe's and it's all developed.
Yep.
We couldn't use it now if we wanted to, even though there's lots of water and lots of gravel underneath. Could never get approval for it.
We mapped all the town parcels, and then we identified 13 parcels that were over 12 acres, which is the minimum you need for Zone 1. Not that you can't acquire easements outside of that if you had something less, but we started with that list. So other than this area where you already have the well, and this area to the northwest, which is sand and gravel, but you also have the water body and environmental conditions. So pumping up here, or putting a well up here would be challenging permitting wise because of the environmental concerns. Generally, everything to the south is till and core materials, and a lot of the test wells showed that. So soils wise, you know, you have a lot of parcels up here that you own already in the existing wells. Anything you do here.
That's why back in the 80s we bought it all.
Yeah.
We went out and bought the whole, everything that was available, and all that's ours now.
The benefit of doing something up here, if you wanted to put in another well, was that you could combine it into a central treatment plant, because Norman is approaching the limit on manganese. Sear Street elevated iron at least, if not a little bit of manganese as well. The rural green, certainly it's got good soils. The little bit of pumping test that they did showed good capacity. The only concern there is the elevated nitrates. So before doing anything there, I would just find the wells that are there, hopefully they're still there,
They're there.
pump them and see where it's at now. But this is also isolated from the other wells, so you wouldn't be able to combine easily that with another source for treatment.
But that'd be a different type of treatment plant anyways, right? That'd be a nitrate plant rather than iron. The other
Yes.
plants would be iron removal plants, that would be a nitrate plant.
Yeah.
The nitrates could go away though, right? Was it from being a farm field, you think?
That's what I presume typically what it comes from, or
Should
septic.
get
but
better,
no
would that
septic
over
there.
time?
It would flush out
It's from the farm.
if you stop introducing the source.
Nothing's
Eventually,
been introduced in 20 years there. so-
Yeah, at least 20.
and those test wells were probably in the 80s.
Yeah, we've owned that for 20 years anyways, 20 or 30 years. It's been a long time.
Late 90s maybe.
So we looked at the soils. We looked at, this is from the Mass GIS aquifer favorability. High yield is the greenish cells, which again, you're already in
Yeah.
here, a couple areas up around Sear Street. They are the highest, the Smallville area. Off of Harvestwood. The Rotary site isn't, at least based on the mapping now, isn't in the very highest yield, but it is in a high yield portion of the aquifer.
What, that green, what is that on? What street is that? That's on
This one.
Harvestwood?
Harvestwood, south side.
Okay, yeah. See, I think we did some drilling in there, but the houses are all so close, we couldn't get this, the circle around the wall.
Yeah.
We'd have to buy the subdivision.
Isn't there a brook that goes through the back of that?
Yeah, there is. There's a old ice pond there where they used to cut ice out of it.
We also looked at the natural heritage mapping for areas of endangered species habitat or priority habitat. So the tan is priority habitat, here, mostly southwest. The purple is natural communities designation. The only reason we do this is anytime you go in that area with a new well, you're subject to MEPA, and if these agencies, Natural Heritage, local Concom weigh in, you might get stuck with an EIR to evaluate the impacts on endangered species or whatever's out there.
Whatever drives by in the town.
There's fast-moving turtles and stuff that we run across all the time. We also did wetlands. The greenish shading here, and then yellow is ACEC area, so again, the southwest side is a lot of wetlands, and ACEC, again, which is environmental concerns, which prompts red flags during the permitting process. Scattered wetlands everywhere. But they're less concerned if they're not attached to the ACEC or directly to a water body where there would be concern over pumping impacts on surface water or a river, which also is a red flag for permitting. And we looked at zoning. Pretty much new water supplies are allowed in any district with a special permit. can be somewhat difficult. And the only one that didn't address water supply was the mobile home district, was mute on new water supply development, but
Now, that zoning map is based on what's existing now, because that's not, our zoning is all business on 28-106, 500 feet back.
this, as far as I know, came from, well, the town website or Mass GIS.
Because this business zone here is 500 feet back on 28 and 106. The whole way back, the whole thing should be pink.
So
Just existing, but yeah.
even like a parcel like that.
I mean, that's how the zone runs, I mean.
Oh, okay. That might be just a GIS thing, if it was, I'd have to check and see how it came in.
I mean, if you look at our zoning bylaws, there's a zoning map in the back of it, it's got.
So it's based on a 500-foot width, anything
Right.
that touches
Yeah.
it.
Back from 28 and 106. And that
500 feet on each side of the road,
each
right?
side of the road, and
So it's 1,000 feet.
even that industrial zone doesn't look right. That looks like based on what the current use is, I think, and that isn't even right.
So that includes 106.
106 and 28, then. There is some spot zone industrial, and that looks right on
I'll check on that and see if it came from Mass GIS, if they only identified parcel level authority.
there. But I see some parcels on there that are business and they're not marked business even now.
Okay. I will check on that. Good thing is, we're not going there.
Right, I just, we're gonna have.
No, I'd like it to be accurate, for sure. So, in the end, again, the red outline parcels are town parcels. The group that had enough acreage were in favorable soils. Generally, the most of them were up around Sear Street to the north. Rowbury in this 46026.
What is that one though?
Ash Street, right? Isn't that Ash Street?
Yeah, that's Ash.
It looks like. Is that ash?
Yeah, because it's right
Yeah,
on the
there's the
center.
brook.
Oh, it is ash, yeah, that's that wetland area where the river comes through. Right?
Yeah.
Up
Yeah,
behind Tom McQueenville Rose.
Yeah, like just as you're turning off from
Oh,
28 onto
okay.
Ash Street, going
Yeah.
right out.
So the other side of the
Even
river.
along South Main
That's
Street,
town owned there?
right across from Good Days.
Yeah.
Really?
That was-
Gee, that drops off like.
Yeah.
Off the road.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you wouldn't want to have an accident go down
Well, I
there.
think a car did go off the road there, and a guy died, and it took him a couple weeks to find him, he was in a car down in there.
Yeah, it's a long ways down.
Not a good choice, no. And the other piece,
And then, was that sand and gravel on there? It can't be. It's just town owned, right? That's not sand and gravel.
It's town owned and decent,
it's not in
not
the
now.
radio, it's just town owned, and there's enough acreage.
Oh, I see, okay.
And you
Yeah,
didn't,
but I didn't ever remember anybody talking about gravel in that area.
But that would be right down in the wetlands too.
Yeah.
Wetlands associated with the river.
Right,
So
but
we have all
whatever
kinds
we,
of other problems with that anyway.
but whenever we drilled in, like the Aquamox swamp, I never found any water. The soil underneath was so tight.
Yeah.
And that's why the swamp was there. It was just, all the water was sitting on clay. Couldn't drain.
That's the wetlands, right? Um, And the other piece is the swimming, sustainable water management basins. Right now, all of your supplies are in 24011 or 24026. The parameters they look at is the groundwater category and the biological category. 011, where Shear Street is groundwater 4, biological 5. And for Manley Street, it's groundwater 5, biological 5. So 5.5 is not good, they don't want you there.
You see that sub-basin ID 24011?
Yep.
That one, I don't think we own that one. I don't think we own that. I think that's the only one that whole parcel we don't own.
Oh, it wasn't intended for that parcel?
Okay.
It was the light green. So this light green is, probably should make that.
Because we own most of all that.
Yeah.
On that side, the left side of the railroad tracks, but as we bought every parcel that was available with that one piece where we didn't get it. But it was right up so tight to Brockton's line, we didn't bother with it.
Yeah.
And it's all landlocked. There's no way to really get in there or get anything out of there.
No, this tag was for this whole area, which is the sub-basin, same with, all these others. So, in your upcoming permit, they want you to minimize, minimization or mitigation is required. You'll have to do both. So, minimization is they want you to pump less from these two basins. And they provide a list of alternatives. Go to another basin. Well, right now, all your sources are in minimization basins, so that's not an option.
But Manly's more of a minimization basin?
It's a 5.5, so it's more critical, so to speak. They don't want, so if you went in for a new source, and we haven't tested this yet, because swimming is fairly recent, where would they push you to go? Most of these basins, sub-basins, aren't the good soils. So they can't really push you someplace where you can't develop a well.
That's why we bought all that up at the top years ago in the 80s, because we knew we did all that drilling all over town. We tried to identify we went on every piece of land that we could put a 400-foot circle onto it, and we drilled it to see before somebody built a subdivision.
Right.
And what they were planning in that Matfield Woods, they were gonna extend that right through the back out here, and that's why we went in and bought all that land. And I remember when the Board of Selectmen were afraid, we're gonna bankrupt the town and all this. I think we borrowed $300,000 or $400,000 to buy all those parcels, because they were all owned by different people. And we ended up, we bought them, and now they're all paid for. The reason why we bought them was for future water supply, because we knew that the rest of the town, we couldn't find any water. There was Manley Street, that deposit, then there was a deposit up behind Clinton Road. They wouldn't let us use that because it was an old landfill within 1,000 feet of it. So they said, you can't use it, so we never even went near there. And that was really the only, the other one was up on Apple Tree Lane and all that. It was all, but now there's a huge subdivision. It's all built on it. It's gone. We had 300 gallons a minute wells out there, but that would have been in that same section a little further. Yeah, right where your finger is, right in there. Would have been down in there, but that's all developed, so it's gone. You can't take the houses down. So that's why we bought all this woods, was for future water supply. I can't imagine why they, are telling us now this. I still think there's plenty of water as long as we watch the water table, which way it's like wobbling. As we can draw from one end, we can draw from the other end, we can draw from over here.
And what we wrote in the report was, well, from the build-out study, you're pretty good supply-wise if the wells keep up and you're going forward with cleanings and you have replacement well 5 to get capacity back. So your existing wells, if they maintain capacity, will get you well into the future. An additional withdrawal point, which would mean you get a permit for a new withdrawal point, but no increase in water, allows you to spread out the pumping so you reduce the stress on each individual well point.
It makes it harder to treat too.
Yes, unless they're together.
Well, I mean, in the same basin?
Yeah.
Yes, so,
But the thing is, we always tried to keep an extra well online. DEP doesn't care, okay? They're not here every day when there's a failure in a well. He's the one that has to answer the phone, and when the tank's dropping, he's the one that's gonna have to have the guys out trying to keep the tank full. We always had one extra well. One well could completely go down with it, be waiting on somebody to come and pull the pump and everything, and we could keep running because we had enough wells. We always had that extra one. Didn't tell anybody that we had an extra well, but it made so we didn't have to have a crisis, we didn't have to have emergency water bans and stuff like that. DEP, they like to see emergency, they like to see, they do, it's just, but they go home every night and they don't have any headaches. They just go home and it's somebody else's problem. And, I just think we ought to fight for the extra withdrawal point and see if we can get it. I mean, it's always worked in the past. I don't know, we've added a lot of houses, just add another well point. If we have to do additional treating, let's try to put as many wells through one treatment plant as we can to save money.
we've had that argument with DEP for 20 years, where water management really got strong. And even if you don't need, like you said, additional supply, it's the redundancy factor, it's the reduction in impacts at any one location. There's not many wells you can put in that don't have a wetland or a water body or something nearby. So if you can spread out the pumping, and by adding another withdrawal point, then everything else is better.
Right.
Besides the redundancy.
There's plenty of water down the back of Norman Avenue. We could add another well, and it's quite a distance away. And those wells, when the well that we have there now is running, those wells in the back, they're not even hardly affected. So that, you can, we could do that. We could run one up front, then run the one down back, and run the other one the next day. That's what I used to do. I used to just run different wells and wobble the water table.
Yeah.
And I had a map with the water table, and we used to be able to go out and measure all the observation wells we had. We had tons of them, probably about 50 of them. And we'd put what water level they were every month, and then the map would show us which way the water table was actually pitching.
Seasonally?
Yeah.
It goes up and down.
Oh yeah, you could see it. If you saw it going down really far on one end, you just pump more on the other end.
To me, that's good practice. But
It
we
worked.
had that argument with DEP. I know they won't give you additional supply. I believe they're going to cut your permit like we discussed at the last
Yeah.
meeting. So I don't know why they wouldn't let you put in a redundant well if you wanted it, because you're going to operate under the same total permit number. And provided you're away from the other environmental concerns that they might have. So in our recommendations, kind of the first step was maybe have that discussion with DEP. So here we are. We have 2 subbasins with the supplies in it. One's a 5.4, the other's a 5.5. We want to go build a redundant well. What's their response before spending a lot of money? Get their input on, are they going to throw roadblock one after the other if you go down that road, or would they allow you to do it just as another withdrawal point?
And the thing is too, though, is we went through the numbers in the build-out analysis, looking at what we had with all the wells running. Because this year we had Station 1 down, because it was being rehabbed. With all of them running, and this one out here, the new rehab one back, we're pretty close to having redundancy as it is. We could lose a well out of those and still be able to pump pretty close to the max day.
Well, we were producing double the water we needed this year.
So I mean, I don't know how good our argument's gonna be with DEP. If we say we need a redundant well, looking at the pumping and them cutting us back, it's like we almost already have it. I think is what came out of that when we were looking at that table last meeting. So it might be, it's probably good to have the discussion anyway, but we might have a tough time pushing that to spend too much effort on it, unless we
But
have.
that's what always eliminated us from ever really having an emergency in this town.
Yeah.
Is we always produced more water, we always had more water, more pumps, more pump stations than we needed.
Yeah.
We didn't brag about it, we didn't make a big deal about it, we just knew we had it. When we had a catastrophe and a pump went down, we didn't have emergency water bans like everybody else does, every other town. You know, they have to have strict water bans, and we slid through it. We fixed the well and we're back up and running. It just stops all that. That's just poor management to me. If you don't keep ahead, you gotta be ahead. You can't be running on the line. I like to have the extra. The other thing is, a couple of years ago, it seemed like 10 years ago, we were building wells for $500,000. Now you're telling us it's almost $1 million. If we wait until we need one, it's going to cost us twice as much. It's going to $1 million today, it'll be $2 million by the time we get around when we need one. I just soon have it in the ground.
Yeah, but see, the problem is you did such a good job doing that in the past that we've already got that redundancy now. So you're talking about spending that $1 million for another well beyond what we need.
No, but look at the houses we've added. We've added like 800 houses or something like that, and population has gone up, what, I forget what the count was, over 1,000 people. And we haven't added a well. Since last well we put in was 1983.
But our build-out report shows that we're fine.
When you look at where the demand are going, and actually it was showing us running lower than the demand projection a little bit because the per capita is low. We're showing that there's more pumping, seriously more pumping capacity.
Yeah, I forget the numbers. I think the existing capacity of 3.5, if everything's running.
It looked like if we lost one thing, we could pump max day out to the 2030 projections, if I remember it right. It was pretty close. That's with the largest station off.
Because we lost one well, we can pump.
If we lost the biggest single well, we could still pump max day or real close at 2030.
In the year 2030,
Yeah.
according to the build-out.
According to the, not if everything was
The
built up.
projected, the way they project.
But yeah, the way the numbers are projected. It's just if we go looking for money to the town, we say we're gonna spend another couple million for another well. If somebody asks why we need it, the numbers don't really show. But even on that, we should probably follow through with DEP about how we need to go about getting it if we want to find another spot in that site.
What was our max day this last summer, Wayne?
I believe we were at like 1.8, well, because we were pumping, it was, and actually.
But that was really a 1.1 or 1.2 day. We had that leak.
Peak day in the summer used to be about $1.5 million, $1.4 million. That would be about.
Yeah, we run, in the summertime, if everybody uses.
$1.5 million peak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we had that leak running the whole time this summer too.
Right, so we were at $1.8 million.
yeah, or actually $1.8 million occurred in December. It was a weird time.
I think the leak had something.
Yeah.
But what might have happened there is, the tanks might have been dropped down where you you're catching it on a tank or something, filling it back up.
Yeah, the build-out analysis projected max day at build-out of 2 million. 2 million a day.
What year?
Build-out is questionable, it's just every.
Build
up
was saying
on
how
fire,
max.
but that wasn't the,
That's what the max we could produce, is what you're saying.
No, 2
that's the
million is.
maximum potential demand if everything that could be built got built. But
That would be 2 million a day,
Max day, average day of,
and our capacity, max capacity now is 3 something.
3.
We can't pump 3. You never pump 3.
I don't think we can pump 3 million.
No.
Well,
Maybe on
Max
paper you
daily
can,
rate
but out of the
on
well, I
wells.
don't think you can.
on paper was 3.5 based on the current rates, based on what Wayne provided, 2.5. What they could produce now.
Because as soon as, it's
I'm sorry,
like,
it's 2.5 or 3?
3.5 is the permitted
3
number, 3.5. But physically, what they could produce now, based on their current yields, is 2.5.
that assumes the rehab well is back up to where it should be,
Correct.
and station one's online. At what it's.
but immediately, as soon as you bring a new clean well or another well online, it starts decreasing right away. So you're always on that slide going down.
Right, we talked about that you're constantly battling the specific capacity.
Right.
Plug, you clean them. each time
Doesn't
you
matter
clean
what
them.
they permitted you for, if you can't get it out of the ground, it isn't gonna do you any good.
Right. So that's always a challenge. The replacement well is kind of your next step. Once they plug up so much, they don't come back when you clean them. You have to do the replacement. So it's a battle when you got iron and manganese, at the levels you have. It's constantly trying to plug the aquifer, plug the stream. But on paper,
On paper,
we have a lot of capacity. There's always, like you said, DEP's fighting us on one hand, but at the same time, they say, oh, you gotta have emergency response, emergency planning, which kind of goes to what you're talking about, having extra withdrawal points.
Now, what was the 3 million you were talking about?
So when you do a new well, you get a permit from the state, you do a pump test. And the pump test identifies the safe yield.
how much?
So our safe yield with all these would be, if everything was in perfect shape, would be 3.5.
Right. So they're
But our
saying,
actual, with what they're producing now, is 2.5.
Right. So, and you could expect that number.
so everything would have to
Rick
be in
said-
perfect condition,
If we're not
brand new.
rehabbing the well,
that
that number's gonna keep sliding.
Yep.
And when we run out of water, there's only one person sitting in the room that's gonna be him, that's
What
gonna
about
be,
retired?
well, they're gonna be on him
2031.
to, where's the water? I turn on the faucet, you're telling me I can't use it. Why can't I use it, People don't care as much about how much the water costs. One thing you don't wanna do is charge them a lot of money for water and then say you can't use it.
Then shut them off, or
Yeah. say,
the water
"Oh, well,
restriction
you-
in the summertime?
Yeah, you got, we had to double your water bill, but you can't use any. That's worse than anything. When everybody else got a water ban and we were able to still water grass and didn't have water bans, they said, oh, they're doing a good job, I guess.
Now,
They
what-
they never tell you that.
No, they did at town meeting, people went along with us and they spent the money, they didn't, as long as we kept them in water. If we ran out of water, they'll hang you.
When it comes time to renew our permit, and DEP sees that we allow sprinkler systems on our water system, how does that affect us? Or they don't care, they just look at the per capita use?
They look at the per capita you're accounted for, and then they will have some sort of, you'll be under the drought management plan, where if the state declares a drought at some level, they will force you to go into conservation.
Meaning
Outside
outside water.
at a certain level.
So DEP doesn't mind if we sell water to irrigation systems?
Ultimately, they would rather you not.
But it doesn't affect our perimeter at all, they don't throw anything in there as far as, you know, from this point here, we don't want any more outside water, I mean, where our basins are stressed, they don't try to limit you on outside watering sales?
Well, it comes into the minimization. Conservation is a big part of the new permits, and right now, they're forcing you to follow the drought management plan. I don't think they have you on any river monitoring threshold right now.
No, we're not on the river, we're on the calendar.
One of our problems too is when you cut back usage, if we say you can't irrigate, then we're gonna have to go up on the water rate because we gotta cover our budget. So
Yeah.
somebody's gonna have to pay a bigger bill. If the people who want water and don't mind paying a big water bill, pay $1,000 a year to keep the grass green, somebody else on the other end who only pays $200 for their water and they're not watering outside, their water bill has gotta go up substantially because the big guys who are using all the volume of water, they're not using it. And we have to meet a $2 million budget now.
Yeah, those two.
So that money has to come from somewhere.
Budget.
That's been
Yeah.
one of the primary arguments
Yeah.
about SWIMMY is them driving to pretty much annual mandatory water conservation on whatever parameter. Some are tied to river flows, some are based on groundwater levels, like on the Cape. There's no rivers that are impacted there, so they're using groundwater levels. They want to have everyone conserve, pretty much.
But they don't limit public water supplies, allowing outside sprinklers.
Irrigation.
Irrigation.
No, not at this point. They
How
want,
about if you're going to get a new source? Are they gonna look at something like that in terms of, well, if you want a new well in that area, we want you to reduce outside watering or something like that?
they'll want you to have a water conservation plan and/or a water conservation bylaw, which follows the state standard.
Which, what does that say? How does it affect us? I mean, is it some,
Well,
only if there's a drought, we follow the, you know, we don't allow outside watering?
the drought management plan, which is still draft, the
We already have them.
drought management
Very
task
eloquent.
force
By calendar.
revised the state drought management plan. So they monitor precipitation, groundwater levels, surface water levels,
My wife is a
Crop
water needle, it's good.
indexes for agricultural. I think there's another one. And they have all parameters that dictate to them, when you hit this, you're at level 1, and then if they go to this, level 2. That's still being discussed, it's still in draft form, but it will be out probably by the summer.
And at that point, the state can tell us we have to enact a water ban.
They will declare different levels, which would dictate, once you get your permit, you have to follow their levels. So it's level 1, maybe do voluntary, level 2, mandatory restrictions, level 3, outdoor ban. Ideally, they want you to be on, depending on what basin you're in, 1 day a week watering, nothing between 9 and 5. You can be on 2 days a week on certain levels in the drought management plan, but ultimately they want 1 day a week outdoor watering, but never 9 to 5.
So when does it become a problem where, let's say, everybody in town put a sprinkler system in? We're only allowed so much water per person, based on our permit, is that correct?
Per capita,
Capita.
there's a
Which is
performance
what is it,
standard,
is it like 65?
65, and here in the 50s.
Yeah, we're in the 50s.
50
Like
something? Yeah.
54, I think.
We're at 54 now?
Yeah.
But we're allowed 65 per person per day?
Right. That's where it would show up.
So that, I mean, is that could that cause us a problem down the road? When a lot of these new houses are ending up with, you know, irrigation systems.
Oh, we could, it'll drive up your per capita.
But you know what we found?
So let's say,
A lot of those people, when they get their first water bill,
we cut back a little bit.
they'll cut back, they
But
shut
no
it
matter
off.
what, no matter what, a house that's got an irrigation system's using more per capita than.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do.
So-
Since
Give
the
it
drought
to
of
you,
2016, the
They get their
residents
first
have reduced
$2,000
their
back. Man, they have a different attitude.
Give it tiered rate,
But then you have the other ones you drive
Well,
by in a
it's-
rainstorm.
Yeah, it is,
It's
there's
still
the basic rate, and then you get into excess.
do you have multiple
You know,
access tiers?
No, they just give.
We
it
asked
first
people to cut
access,
back, and they
and
didn't.
there's one.
They just rub their water anyways. You raise the water rate, and they get a big water bill, everybody cuts back. You hit them in the pocketbook, and that's what decreases the water usage.
Well,
And
DEP
you can ask
encourages
them what
that,
you want, they don't do it.
and you'll see it in the permit, a tiered rate,
Yeah, I've
multiple
already
tiers,
talked to us, yeah.
and get the irrigation people will get plugged in at the top tier, which, once they get that bill, they'll reduce, but we've seen in the past, you know, you raise the rates, and that next season, you'll see a reduction,
We saw that.
but then
Yeah.
it creeps up. You know, Marion, we raised the rates like 30% about 5 years ago. The usage drastically
We
went
did the
down,
same thing.
Yeah.
but
We did the same thing, the next year.
Right,
Right off.
it's come back up. People adjust and they give them a little bit, see what they can tolerate.
Yep, that's it. They just push it to the limit that they can afford, and
But we've had the argument with DEP during the swimming process, and I'm on the Mass Water Works board, and they argue constantly about the revenue side, that every water department depends on the
We need
revenue
it for
from
the
summer.
summer, yeah.
So,
and they want us to be all enterprise systems.
correct.
They don't want us running on taxation. They want us to stand alone. And then at the same time, you can't run it like a business, so. But they're just politicians, you know, they're public employees, and they don't have the headaches that we do. They don't have the headaches of running the department. They don't have the headaches of trying to keep the tank full. So they really don't know the real problems that run on the water system.
So that's how DEP handles it, they promote a tiered system to try to cut back on irrigation.
Correct. So you probably have had to file, even now, a conservation plan with DEP
Nobody's asked for anything, no.
way back during the permitting? or-
No, I've heard nothing out of them at all.
Yeah, I did, but years ago. It was all done a long, long time ago. I had to do lots of that stuff way back when I got the permit.
Yeah, and during renewals,
Yeah.
every 5 years.
And every year I went in and I fought for every single increase that I could get, and I always got them. That's why the number's so high. I went in and fought for everything I could get. I just kept telling them I needed it. And they didn't want to listen to me, so they gave it to me.
We'll send you up there to negotiate for this
Yeah.
next round.
Because then they gave you automatic increases. Some years they gave you like a 5% increase, just because normal growth or something. That number would just go up. But when you could argue for more water, I always was in there arguing for more water. And I always got it.
It was easy in the 80s. If you put in a new well, they'd give you a permit and increase your capacity, your permitting capacity. But
Well, that's, and,
the argument's a little tougher.
I know, it's not gonna get any better either. So further down the road, 10 years from now, it's gonna be worse. That's the problem. I don't wanna fall behind. We got ahead, and I wanna stay ahead. I don't wanna be behind.
Anything else you think we missed in this? So right now, we'll look at the 21E we'll look at the zoning, make sure we went against the town zoning map, depending on where this came from. In the end, we recommended having that discussion with DEP about what they might allow going forward as a new withdrawal point.
I think that's a good idea, don't you? Just don't have the discussion
Wait,
first.
that while this stuff's still coming together, we should find out everything we can going into it before we make a leap one way or the other,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Good information, it's all good information.
And then, depending on what happens there, there is a discussion on the budget to get you the new source, which is kind of scary sometimes. But, you're right, it's not gonna get any cheaper, it's not gonna get any easier. It'll be swimmy too, somewhere down the line.
Since I got in 1976, it's got worse. Every 5 years it gets worse. Just more expensive, harder to get. It just keeps, it's not gonna get easier, and it's not gonna get cheaper, so bite the bullet and just do it and stay ahead.
I know, in the 80s, I must have done a dozen wells, and if you told me today you wanted a well, a year from today, you could be running $500,000. Not anymore, unfortunately.
What's it taking now to permit?
5-7 years.
Really?
It's just,
Even in an emergency situation?
I don't care.
they would probably say, where's your closest interconnection?
Yeah.
There's your emergency backup.
These guys down in Dayton, they have a pipe so you can fill up with water and they're looking for someone to sell it to.
Yeah.
Big pipe, just waiting.
It's not affecting any of these basins.
Nope. No.
Comes as, with a price tag on it.
Very big price.
I forget what the rate was, but it was huge.
Yeah.
A lot goes on to turn salt water into fresh water.
Could be where we all go in the future.
Yep. Doesn't taste very good, though. It's flat.
You gotta put stuff back in,
Yeah.
you gotta put minerals back in.
You don't want to drink distilled water, you want
Yeah, it's just-
to take everything out of it.
yeah. Like, to digress too much, my kids live in San Diego, they built an 85 million gallon a day desal
So,
plant.
yeah.
85 million gallon a day.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been in a drought for 15 years, as far as I know, and just came out of it this year.
That's San Diego?
Yeah, I'm assuming most of Southern California, they're all in the same boat, struggling and fighting over water since day one.
Yeah, a lot of the
The water
conservation
rights.
spill out of that.
Yeah, a lot of that goes to agriculture, doesn't it?
Huge.
Yeah, but they produce a lot of the food for the United States too, so,
That's the battle.
yep.
Who gets the water?
Yep, if they don't get the water, we don't get the food,
That's why
that's
they
a
went,
problem.
that's why they went down to the beach to get the water.
It's gonna be a huge plant.
Yeah, I've only seen it online. I've been out there twice, but I haven't convinced my wife to go see it, but I won't do
It's
that.
tough to get those field trips approved.
All right, let's go to the beach. Someday. Anything else?
I don't have anything. You got anything, Wayne?
No,
We'll work on
No.
revisions to produce a final. If you have any questions, I'll get back to you through Wayne as far as what we come up with, 21E stuff.
Just the business zone there, you probably want to get it correct on that map, you already wrote that down.
Oh, remember there was something that
10628.
that came up last time, did you and he ever get together on the, was it pressure recorders?
oh yeah, I haven't
No.
done anything with that yet. I didn't find Billy yet either though. So, I'll,
Well, no, I was just thinking, well, 'cause you're still having that problem with the surge,
yeah, that's,
right?
but
That's
as
what
long as
happens.
I've been here, that's occurred.
You just let me know.
All right,
I can
let me,
check if they're available, but we have 3 or 4 of them, so if you need a couple of them.
I gotta find someplace to put it where they won't get sprayed.
Yeah, I would just ask that you get a
Is
barrel.
well down back online yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
We're getting
Waiting
closer.
on that one now.
Well, we're waiting on the SCADA guy. He met
And
with
he was in,
Wayne.
so he did some repairs, almost everything works and trips like it's supposed to. And I've been going through what Megan sent me. Most of the stuff is done, there's little small things that aren't, but they're, they're detailed stuff, not.
I know we threw some stuff on the list that you had mentioned that maybe weren't in the contract, that's why
Yeah.
Mike got all bent out of shape, but they were minor stuff.
Yeah.
If he was here, he could have done it, but,
Yeah, we have chlorine analyzers in the stations now, but they're not wired, they're not, and we have old PLCs that don't have the memory, so I've asked him to upgrade all of our PLCs so that we can do that, and we'll run the wires for him, so when he does that, we can.
oh, okay, I didn't know those weren't connected, so they're not connected to the RTUs? Because you don't have capacity?
Yeah, because I wasn't really, we're not required to chlorinate, so I'm not really required to look at it. But I like to look at it that way when the guys make a batch of chlorine, because we're usually diluting 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, that it stays consistent. They make a batch and they go back and look to see what the residual is. So I don't get yelled at the next day because everything tastes like pool water.
Very important.
So that's what we were waiting for, and unfortunately Mike didn't call us and tell him he was coming, because we would have sent somebody down to kind of sit
Right.
side by side. So that's why we gotta go back to you to find out.
Yeah, I have the sheets, I'll mark them up, I'll get it back for tomorrow.
Okay, so if that's working,
Yep.
and Wood 911's working?
So I did we got a complaint, it's dialing to somebody who complained that he was getting calls to us that our tank levels have hit.
You're kidding.
No, so I unplugged the dialer and I erased all the numbers out of it, because I figured out how to do that. So
You couldn't put the numbers in, right?
yeah,
Okay.
it seems pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to make sure we got that guy so he wasn't getting called first.
Oh,
Yeah, because whenever Mike must have activated it and he didn't say anything, because it had been plugged into the phone line for a long time and we didn't get anything, and then suddenly the guy starts calling.
You see at the top of
It's
the
working.
list.
Yeah, because,
He was getting calls twice every hour on the hour. And then so he said, it was like one tank was high, blah, 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 but when I was hanging up, he goes, oh, in case you're wondering, the Spring Street tank is completely fine, everything's.
She
Yeah.
put the good work.
It's nice that it works, now we just gotta get it calling the right people.
yeah, and muting out the alarms you don't want to hear.
Well, that leads me, if it's calling that much, is there a nuisance one that Mike needs to get rid of? You mentioned
Well,
one
it
on the
wasn't that,
list.
I mentioned about the thing, I'll write it in that he needs to actually put in, because we have to run off the small tank now, because if we run off the big tank, we'll overflow the small tank and we come really close to it. So then you get the high water alarm, and I don't have one for one of the tanks, so when it gets to a certain level, it triggers the high water, it says the high water alarm, which it really isn't, it's just gone past the set point.
So all we need to confirm is Win 911 is working. We'll bring DEP in to do the final inspection.
tomorrow-
They're gonna wanna see it go through the
Yeah,
motions.
tomorrow I'll program it to my phone number, and I'll turn it on and lose some sleep.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And send us the list,
Yep.
what you see from Mike, and
Yeah.
if we need to take care of that one, so it's not calling you
Yep.
10 times a day. And then we'll schedule DEP to come in, and then we're good to go.
all right, sounds good.
Not related to DEP in the station, but to the tanks. We had mentioned it on a night you weren't here, but right now, we can't fill the Walnut Street tank because it overflow the other tanks. We're talking about possibly putting it into capital budget for altitude valve faults. 1 or 2, probably have to be 2 if the little one fills faster on the 2 Spring Street tanks.
Well, yeah.
Because that way we could fill the let those fill, close the altitude valve, and we can get the storage in the Walnut Street tank, because that's.
We have an altitude
Money
valve
we paid.
on the Wallace
Which
Street
one?
tank, but it's wide open. We thought that was gonna be the problem, that one would fill faster, but it never did. So we actually need the valves on the other two tanks, the old tanks.
What causes it? Because the tank's too high or just?
No, the tanks, the sources are closer to Spring Street, they fill first. Because the water's gotta go by
Push it
them.
up there.
Yeah, so they're up to the top before you can get it all the
What are we
way up.
losing, like 4 feet up there?
I think we lose more than that. I think we probably lose about 15% of the tank.
Yeah, and that's, we paid the tank, to put the tank up there, we might as
Put a
well be
million
able to
gallons
fill it.
up there.
So that's the new elevator.
That's the new elevator on
It's the
the,
last to fill.
Yeah.
If we drop it down 8 feet.
Yeah.
Drop the bottom out. So maybe I get back to you and take a look at them.
Yeah.
So the ones that don't have the altitude valves, do they have a pit, or they just?
There are vaults in
Yeah.
front of them.
But they're not very good pits. They were put in years and years and years ago. And there's some big critters down there.
Oh yeah, this big spider, like, really, like the size, a little bigger than my hand, there were a couple of them in there.
hey, you need something to keep the mice under control.
I'll send Megan down there too.
Yeah.
Well, we can take a look at, ultimately looking for a budget to get altitude valves on those.
Yeah.
Do we need to model anything, or you pretty much know hydraulically, and I can picture what you're saying.
I mean,
The ones closest to the sources have to fill first.
in operation, that's what's happening, whether.
Yeah, they're a long ways out. I mean, the Manley Street plant can shoot straight to it, but the other ones pump more water than Manley Street, so.
And if the Manley Street pump isn't running, now it's pushing all the way from this end of town,
Right.
all the way to the
Yeah,
other,
the hydro.
opposite end of town, completely the other end.
And since that is
And there's
supposed to be there
those
for
other
fire
two tanks are
protection,
in between,
you know, it should be full. 'Cause that's fire volume.
Correct.
right?
Yeah, it's fighting a big hydraulic grid line going
Yeah.
up to it.
That's what we built it for the industrial park up there, for fire protection mainly, so.
Does anything come to mind when you think about the system hydraulically that could be improved to get the water up there?
It's all
Well, that's
16 and 12-inch main, all the
Except
way,
for that
all the
one.
way from here, all the way out there.
12's the minimum?
No, I thought it shrinks right on West Street. I mean, you can go up and around, but on West Street, there's that one spot where it shrinks down.
West Street,
Yeah, if it went up.
it's all 12. It comes off of the 16 on Crescent Street and it goes right up to the intersection of Manley Street with a 12. And then it goes both ways with a 12, going Manley Street. Manley Street extension and the other way.
Part of the new line through West Meadow.
That would be, it would probably take care of everything because it's more direct.
But you haven't
A lot of
got,
money to run over.
you've only got a 6 or an 6-inch main on Spring Street. You haven't got any water. You can't feed it.
And plus you have to get permission to go through the state property.
Right.
It's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there is a road through there.
Yeah,
The town has a road.
Spring Street goes all the way.
Yeah, Spring Street has a paper street that goes through there. But I don't know if that's just another headache.
Isn't Maple Street still a paper street under 24 too?
Yeah.
Let us think
Yeah,
what a
There's a
pipe-
water main still going
The
on.
water main's still there.
You don't want that call in the middle of January.
Nope.
You'd never see it, it just ends up in the drains.
No.
Yeah.
We have a gate on either side just in case that ever happens. Hopefully those gates work.
They did, we trust them. Because
They
when
do?
we were looking for the leak, we isolated that section.
All right, there you go. So I'll follow up with you
Yeah.
on that. You let me know, you want those monitors?
All right.
So I have a cap for a 2.5,
All right.
and this thread's right in it.
Yeah,
Also, just need something to cover it.
I think I can find something.
We're good. Thank you very much for coming in, Patrick.
Thanks, man.
Pleasure always.
It's always a pleasure. We love the way you can spend our money.
Side bit. Just one, this coloring works better.
Yeah,
Way better.
We'll stick with that.
the that color worked fine. It was just the way the different hatches and stuff were going the last time.
I thought it was just me.
No, this is way better, way easier to read.
All right, so moving along, capital projects for 2020.
So, remember, we took the 69,000 out of the lines. So if you want to continue forward for a new source, you need to put something into an article.
Okay. So what did we figure that we had for,
We just took 115 out of it.
we had figured how much money we had taken in and, from new construction, tie-in fees?
Yeah, I don't count that.
And there, and whatever money we got left over in that line, oh, we can't get that though. We can't touch that till it falls out of surplus.
Right, the only thing you can touch is what we have in surplus right now.
So we'll just have to use whatever that number is, right?
I don't know if you have to use it all, it depends upon how far they're gonna get in a year.
Well, just how far do you think we'll get with those discussions to a new source back?
In the next year?
Because that falls under the swimming discussion. Right, because we'll think of that first.
Well, but whatever we brought in from new construction, from the tie-in fees, that's what it's supposed to be used for, is for the new supply.
Yeah.
So just transfer it into a line item, if we don't spend it, it just carries over into the next year, it's in an article, you don't have to, nothing happens. It just.
So it doesn't matter if the discussions takes 18 months or something.
Right, it could take 2 years.
All right, yeah, okay.
And we have the right to add to it at a special, or we have the right to add to it next year.
So at the next meeting, we'll have those numbers, that way you can, because that, the next meeting is just in front of it.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you put together a list of the capital improvements and the money that's available, and we'll vote on the numbers, okay?
Yeah.
Be nice if the altitude valve number could be in there for
Or,
next meeting.
what's the date?
2 weeks from today?
Yeah,
Because that, I mean, that would be, that's something we really should get done. And it shouldn't, it's not gonna be a huge project, but
No, well,
comparatively.
right,
compared to a new
for
well.
fairly rate.
Could those be done like prefab, you know, like they send you those cement buildings with a crane and they just set them down on a slab for an altitude valve, bring the pipe back up into that building, get it above ground?
You could put it above ground.
Yeah, but then you'd have to heat the building.
Yeah. But rather than being underground,
Yeah, prefab wall.
Yeah, I'm not going down.
I gotta call you back.
Yeah, Rotundo, any of those will make to suit where they have standard sizes.
Yeah.
But like I said, you bring the pipe up, add heat, lights. If that's what you want to budget it on, we can budget on that. Or-
I don't know, it's just rather than hiring a contractor to come out and actually build it under prevailing wage, we might be better off just having a general contractor, put the slab in, bring the pipe up, and then just get a prefabricated shell to put over the top of it with utilities on it, heat, whatever
Yeah,
else we
you get the
need.
whole, you can get them prefabbed as a vault too, though, and it's even cheaper.
Underground though, yeah.
But those go underground all the time.
Those bolts, they
Confined
were
space,
dry when we,
Yeah.
yeah, the only reason the one on the little tank was because the lead seal was leaking, and we removed the lead seal, so.
They just always seem to be damp and equipment rusts and, anything you put down there, you're doing a lot of maintenance on it.
Yeah.
Where's your RTU now?
When they're above ground,
It's on the side of the 5 million tank. So it's up, it's.
Above
there.
grade, but
Yeah.
all by itself?
Yep.
I know a lot of the industrial customers, when they had to put their backflow preventers in, rather than putting them down the vaults, because they were always rusted and everything, they brought the water main up, put it through a building, and it's above ground, and they kept a little bit of heat in there and a dehumidifier, and just all the equipment just stayed in better condition, That's all I'm thinking. But look at it both ways, see what the cost and difference is. If it's too much, it'll be above ground. We'll go underground.
The way those feed lines, it makes sense to run through one, or they're gonna be completely separate.
They'd have to be separate the way they're currently now. But you can't because, well, if you put them on one, then you're gonna have to set it, you're gonna have to fill to the, basically we're filling to the little tank now.
No, I was just, the pipes come in parallel, or one pipe coming in like?
No, it's one pipe that comes in and passes out the backside, and then they're teed off of it.
What you do
So
is
you'd have to have two separate ones then, yeah.
print out a picture of the piping on it for
Yeah.
next meeting off the computer. It's all on the GIS. We can show it here with that. And you see where all the gates are too.
Because if they were close enough together, you could, even whether it was a vault or like you say a building, then you bring up one building, you run the valves, you know, for both tanks through,
You just reconfigure
if it made sense.
Yeah, you could do, you know, tapping sleeves to get them off the existing pipes, so you don't have to shut down.
yeah.
It just depends on what you could, you would have to put something in. You'd have a bypass, you just have to put a valve in, to shut the bypass to go through the other valve.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to be draining 5.
You don't have the laptop here set up, do you?
No, I'm today, too.
Okay.
I'll make sure I have it next week.
We could have brought it right up on that. You seen
Can
it?
I get it before next week?
Yeah, I'll give you a copy before you go. I'll just print it right now.
Print out 2 of them, all right?
Yep.
Should have gotten out while you could.
It's all good. It's all good.
While he's doing that, we can have another discussion. Office manager's vacation time.
To give Kerry vacation time.
Yeah, I guess she does. What, do you get, a couple days?
Well, yeah, so my anniversary was March 7th.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I had 5 vacation days that I'd like to use during the kids' April vacation in 2 weeks. I'll be here for the meeting, it's the week of the 15th, but I'll be here for the meeting.
Okay, so what,
That's okay.
so why are you asking for that?
Because I have to carry over 5 days, I didn't know if it needed a vote, but I just.
Oh, I see, because you're carrying over
5 days, yeah.
5 days.
To do-
Anybody have any problem with carrying over 5 days?
No.
I don't. So, all in favor of carrying over 5 days? Well, first, I guess we gotta have a motion.
Do we even have to vote on that?
I
Yeah,
didn't know, I just figured.
we
that-
do.
Yeah,
I just figured, like, how much you could carry over at the end of the contract.
Is it allowed, what was the contract?
5 days.
It says 5
Yeah,
days?
see,
You
it's,
have to use it in the first, I'm just bringing it to your attention.
So you're just doing what the
yeah,
contract
you're
says?
using it in accordance with the contract.
Right, but it says that you have to have permission from your supervisor.
Right.
It
All
says,
right, well, I'll make a motion, we approve Kerry carrying over 5 days
I'll second
and
it.
using it for April vacation.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That was simple. The rest of it, I guess we gotta wait for Lynn.
I'm almost there.
Sorry.
Only held up by the printer itself. Probably should have zoomed in on the tank, but I pretty much know where the valve is.
Is 16 and 10 tied together?
Yep, yes, they are. The area over there.
So what do you think?
I think it'd be real tough to get both of them into the same. You almost have to put one on either to each, unless those are way we can make it balance. You said the little one fills
The little one fills faster.
a foot ahead, 2 feet ahead.
Probably about 2 feet ahead of it. Because it's enough that it pushes it up that much further than.
That's just a diameter thing, right? 'Cause you're
Yeah.
gallons per foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's 5 million gallons, the other one's 500,000. There's a big difference in volume.
Gallons per foot is quite a bit
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, the pictures are pretty much there kind of scale.
Scale. Okay.
Yeah, it'd either be two or would have to reconfigure a bunch of pipe.
Right, and there's no valves at the tank, so they would have to put in captain sleeves to let the tank down. Valves are actually set back behind the pits.
On the street side of the pits?
Yeah, they're not in the pit, because we thought we were gonna have to go with those spiders to shut down the 5 million. We got lucky.
All right, at least if we have an idea what it'll cost to do it, because I mean, it's, you know, it's still gonna have to be worth it for what we can put up into that extra tank for extra storage.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got budget 2019
Done.
supplement.
Done.
Done. Budget 2020.
So I'm not sure if you were here, but, so nobody asked at the meeting, the one question that I was waiting for, what it was gonna, how it was gonna impact our budget. $65,000 on a 10-year note, so it's 50 in principal and 15 in interest. So I already,
How many years?
for 10. The longer you went up, when I looked at longer with Scott, at longer time frames, it actually got more expensive, so.
Yeah, oh yeah,
10
the
years is
interest.
cheaper.
Because you're carrying the principal on
And
it.
he said it could go down a little, it depends at the start of the year, the rates could be down, right now they're up, he said.
Yeah.
So I've already forwarded that to them, and they already have to include it as part of our budget.
And the last thing on the, is a Rotary Farm.
I haven't got the bill yet, so I'll find him before the next meeting, I promise.
Okay.
Going on.
Has anybody else got anything? that they
I
wanna-
wanted to mention after you did a good job there at the special town meeting, and I actually heard from like 4 people afterwards that thought that you had done a good job. They liked that you did it as opposed to us, and kind of disagreed with the one person who was being contentious. So I think it came across well for the water department, the way you handled it.
I mean, well, you guys really can't explain a lot about the day-to-day operations, but I can, and I could answer each one. You might as well just stood there so that we could just gone back and forth.
I mean, he had some legitimate, he wanted to know where the money went, was
Right.
it labor, was it electricity, which,
Yeah.
I get it, but.
No, and again, you had that information at the selectmen and finance, so maybe you should have had that with us
Yeah,
for that night too, but.
right.
And then a lot of it too is chemicals, you know. You pump, the water goes
Yeah,
out,
you-
you still got chemicals.
You didn't watch that either? then?
No.
Jack was trying to get
I
it
heard,
very
I
detailed
told
on them, and, you know, you don't have the numbers with you anyway.
We asked
But
a lot of
both-
questions.
You know, 2 people on the finance committee both complimented you.
Yes, I was really surprised.
No, it was good that you did it, you handled it the way you did it.
Good job, Wayne.
I just have one thing, it's not like, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, Beacon Hill, Beacon Realty, Beacon, yeah, they paid off, their current completely was their
Really?
Yeah, they paid on the 22nd.
Wow,
I didn't think we could-
excellent.
Yeah, I just figured I'd let you guys know.
That's good. That's excellent.
Did the rent control board ever give them an increase that they
I
might
have
know?
no idea.
I don't know about
We've
it.
gone up with their water bill enough times.
Yeah.
I got one quick question. I was looking at the print here. We were looking at this earlier for subdivision for Parkers. Is that one lot or 2 lots? That's one, isn't it?
I can't tell you because I just received the plan. It didn't come with anything else saying anything.
As it shows, these squares I just showed them fits in the lot, right?
Well, they can fit a house in the lot, I think. That's what the 100-foot square is
I
for.
think this is the new lot. There's already a house there. They're not gonna take the house down. That just represents that it's.
Maybe you put a lot bigger house in there than you put the way they're building
All
it.
right. I think they just added a lot. I think this was all one lot. I think,
Yeah, they did, what do you call it, Form 80, split the lot in half.
yeah, it looks like you got the frontage right here, both of them.
And the existing house is in the zone 2, and the new lots outside of the zone 2?
No,
Am I reading it?
this one's inside the zone too. But, as it goes this way, that swing is this way.
So they labeled the zone 2 on the wrong side, or? I was looking at it, that's why I was figuring that zone 2 was over here.
Well, all I was looking at is the swing, but there's,
No, you're right.
the aquifer protection zone goes out to the street, so it shouldn't make any difference as it goes down East Street and then up Union Street. That's the line of the aquifer protection zone, because when we did our zone 2, they said we can't use the line, we have to use a street, so that they're not doing this, they're not arguing, well, I'm 20 feet outside of it, you know what I mean? So they said you have to use railroad tracks, high tension lines, or a street, so that, because this is kind of like an imaginary line.
That's the actual modeled line.
Right, model, but then the engineers could argue whether it goes 50 feet this way or 50 feet that way. So they said for the aquifer protection zone, they want us to go to streets or to railroad tracks. So, you know, I don't think, for my purposes, I don't have any problem with it anyways, if even it's in the aquifer protection zone. It's a house, and they're allowed.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't do is over nitrate load in the aquifer protection zone, but that size house isn't gonna do that.
Well, that's almost 40,000 gallons a square. About 4 bedrooms, an acre.
440. So,
440 an acre.
is that what it is? In the-
I think. So, yeah, they would be putting in a house there big enough, that's 72,000, so it's an acre, almost 2 acres.
There's 2 acres there.
So that would be an issue.
Yeah. All right, so you just received this, we don't have to do anything with it.
No, there's nothing happening there right now. We're working our way through the board.
Well, I was just looking at, I don't have any problem with it. And this one here is the gentleman that came in to see us a while
Yeah.
back on South Elm Street. I guess he's
Yeah, South
looking
Elm
to you
Road.
guys to tear the whole building down now, and
Oh, yeah.
that doesn't affect us, so it doesn't water department. Anything else?
If there isn't, one last thing, so I was asked to ask, so we have a current part-time employee's job's gonna go away. She is gonna interview for the town for the GIS position, whether she gets it or not, is, what she was asking is, she knows that we have a position coming up that's permanent. That if she put in an application, this is more appealing for you guys than anything else, that she'd have a shot at getting the position.
Anybody that applies has a shot.
Right.
Yeah. I think she's got a little bit of a hands up, because she's already been working on the system, so, been just working in the town, working on the GIS,
Yeah.
but I don't know who's gonna even do the interviewing, so I don't know that much
I
about it.
wasn't asking about that one. I know she's gonna interview on Tuesday.
She's gonna interview.
Which position are you talking about?
The one that we're gonna have here in the water department.
The part-time one?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about our part-time position.
Yeah.
Considering what we were talking about for the duties, is that something is that supposed to take stuff off of
Right,
you?
she knows that it wouldn't be
to keep-
GIS anymore, that if the GIS was there, it'd be very limited in its,
I mean, we have to advertise it.
Yeah.
She could apply. If she was the best candidate, we wouldn't say no, but
Yeah.
it didn't seem like she'd have the skill set that.
Is she gonna go for the GIS person that the town's gonna hire?
yeah, she's gonna interview.
Oh, okay. And now when's that taking place?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah, no,
just thinking in terms of, that's supposed to take dealing with guys out in the field stuff off of your plate, so.
Right.
So, and if she can't do that, that's gonna work against her. That's all.
Next meeting, Monday, April 15th.
April 15th.
April Fool's Day and tax day, great schedule.
A good month. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.